What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami. I'm your host, Andre Fernandez, joined as always by our Inter Miami beat writer, Michelle Kaufman. And this is a very special week because we are turning 100 episodes young on Inside Inter Miami. We've got a lot of special things planned on this one. We're celebrating in the grand tradition by Messi with some mate. Michelle's got a bunch of prizes. She's going to go explain to the listening and viewing audience to a few giveaways she wants to have. And we have a very special guest today. Apple TV analyst Dax McCarty has been nice enough to join us for this 100th episode celebration of our show. We're going to talk a lot about Lionel Messi, a lot about Inter Miami, which, as we know, is coming off a victory over Nashville in game one of that first round series, and now headed to Nashville for game two to see if they can close out the series in advance. We'll have plenty of reaction later on from Coach Javier Mascherano and a couple of the players talking about the victory and where the team stands right now. But let's kick it off, Michelle. 100 episodes. How about that?
Yay! 100 episodes. We want to, of course, this whole podcast started when Lionel Messi got here. That's no surprise. The way this even started is the Miami Herald sports editor said, Michelle, Lionel Messi is now on this team. You're going to do a podcast. We had a Dolphin podcast. We had a Heat. We had Marlins, University of Miami. We did not have an Inter Miami podcast back in the day. But the minute Messi got here, everything changed and we started this podcast. And here we are, 100 episodes in. We want to thank everybody who's ever listened, watched on YouTube, listened on various channels, and so on. So we're celebrating with some mate, which I still don't love it, but I'm going to tell you a little confession. I put some honey. I put a little honey in there to sweeten it and get the bitterness out, and it's better with honey. I'm just going to say. Anyway, so we have a special guest. Dax is here. Dax McCarty. You're the perfect guest. You know, 19-year career in MLS. You know everything about this league. You've played for 6 teams. You have retired a year ago, which is a theme this year, obviously, especially on this team with Boosie retiring, Jordy retiring, Darlington Nagbe's retiring from the league, Brad Gazan. So I want to talk to you about the whole concept of retiring and Nashville. You also have history with Nashville, some history with Miami and Nashville, that Leagues Cup final. So you really are the perfect guest for our 100th episode, and we are just thrilled to have you. Before we get started, I want to tell everyone out there who's listening that I've been collecting some special giveaways to celebrate this day. And if you want to get one of the gifts, I have 10 gifts. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they're all Inter Miami, MLS, and 2026 World Cup related swag. So the first 10 people who email me at mkaufman, MKAUFMAN, at miamiherald.com. So mkaufman at miamiherald.com, the first 10 people who email me with a U.S. mailing address. I'm really sorry for all of you international viewers. Unless you want to pay for the postage, we just don't have the money to send these little gifts all over the world. But if you have a U.S. mailing address, first 10 people will get a gift. All right. So we're going to start with Dax. Before we get into Messi, well, this is actually Messi related, but before we get into the playoffs and all that, I just thought we would start with that very memorable shirt exchange between you and Lionel Messi after the Leagues Cup final in 2023, which was an unbelievably exciting game. It's truly maybe the most exciting game that I've seen Inter Miami play in the whole 6 years that I've been covering the team. It was incredible. For those who remember or don't, went to PKs, even the goalkeepers, you know, Drake Callender made a PK. I mean, it was just an amazing game. The stadium in Nashville.
I've told Michelle this is the best shootout I've ever seen in terms of like everyone was making their shots. It was so tense, like down to the last one. High quality.
So. It was a very high quality match. The stadium is amazing there. It's a very high stadium, so the noise, it's really loud, and it was super exciting. Miami, I know, is more exciting for Miami than for Nashville, but it was still an amazing game. And then after the game, Dax, I'll let you take over about the shirt exchange with Messi. Tell us that story.
Michelle, were you at the game? I'm assuming you were at the game.
I was at the game. I was at the game.
Yeah, well, first things first, I just want to congratulate you guys on your 100th episode. I think that's a great accomplishment. Certainly, someone who does a podcast like myself as well, I know how difficult it can be to be consistent and do it week after week after week. So congratulations to you guys, and I'm honored that you would have me on. Sorry, I'm coming to you from my hotel in Stamford, Connecticut. So I'm in this janky business center. It's kind of public, so if someone walks in the background, I apologize. But that game was a really memorable game. You just said it, Michelle. I mean, it was Lionel Messi's first tournament, first games that he had played with Inter Miami. He had already made numerous memories within the first couple of weeks of him being there with his memorable free kick goal that he scored minutes after coming on. I believe it was against Cruz Azul. There was so much buzz around that. It was the first major final for Nashville SC. And I knew that I was getting to the end of the road. I knew that retirement was around the corner, whether it was that year or the next year. And so it was a really exciting time to be a player in MLS and to be on Nashville SC. It was a memorable game, like you described, a wonderful final, very back and forth, crazy excitement. Messi scoring a ridiculous goal, as I'm sure people can remember, numerous players around him, myself included. And this is just what you come to expect from him, is that he can basically make beautiful goals, make something out of almost nothing, and put it in the top corner with numerous defenders around him. So that was a high level of frustration. But the fact that we got back into the game and the penalty shootout, everything surrounding the game and that whole tournament was just crazy. And so after the game was over, we were shaking hands with everyone, and we shook hands and said good game, whatever, and I just said cambio, and he said after the celebrations. So I went back into the locker room, and it was bittersweet for sure. And I was proud of our team because we had played so well, and we were that close to beating him in a final and winning a trophy. But the margins of error are really thin when you play against a good team like Inter Miami. And so it went to the goalkeepers. Our goalkeeper missed, but a really memorable final. And then, the jersey exchange, I've talked about it a couple of times. To be able to go toe-to-toe with an icon, someone who I'm just a fan of the game. I love the game of soccer. I always have. When I was growing up, I had heard about Messi when he was a youngster in Argentina and then with Barcelona. And so we're the same age. And to be able to watch him play with those great Barcelona teams, he plays the game the way that I see the game being played in its perfect form. Being unselfish, but being dominant, being able to score goals, get assists. He's the greatest player that's ever lived. And so to be able to change jerseys with him, I've talked about it. I think it was a nice moment. Obviously, one I'll keep and put in the jersey collection. Maybe that one will stand out a little bit above the rest. But to be able to say I've played against him a couple of times in Major League Soccer, got the better of him a couple of times in Major League Soccer. It's a really proud moment because the admiration that I hold him in and the level that I hold him in. So definitely a great moment. And then funny story about that playoff series we played against them last year. My 5-year-old during one of my last home game I ever played for Atlanta United, we were playing against Inter Miami in the playoff game. And Messi was great. He was giving high fives to all the ball kids, the kids that walk out with you. And my son was only 5, and he looks at him. Messi's holding his hand out, and my son, instead of high-fiving him, he just kind of karate chops him, like, boom. And I was like, my wife got it on video, and I'm thinking, I'm going to show that to my son in about 15 years and be like, you're probably the only person in the history of sports to karate chop Lionel Messi when he holds his hand out to give you a high five. So some good memories built around that guy.
I think you're on mute, Michelle.
You took a little bit of heat, I remember, because you put it on social media and said the night wasn't a total whatever. The night wasn't a total loss, but anybody would understand. I mean, you just explained the moment perfectly. You're the same age. He's Messi, right? I mean, it was totally understandable.
I would say, like, I don't regret anything that happened, but the caption was in poor taste because we did lose. And so I'm as competitive of a person as you'll ever meet. And I was very angry and sad that we lost the game, but I was proud. I was proud of our performance in that moment. And it doesn't make it any easier to know that you didn't end up lifting the trophy. But yeah, look, in the social media era right these days, people can jump down your throat for anything, and so that's not a surprise that that
And
happened.
they do. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
it's
thought it
fine.
was unfair.
I
I
I
thought it was
work.
unfair.
Listen, this environment that we work in now, like you have to give opinions, and you have to, have I think a strong fortitude to just know that sometimes people are going to like what you do and say, and sometimes they won't. And so I would definitely have changed the caption if I can go back and do it. But ultimately, look, I'm proud of our team's performance. Unfortunately, we didn't win the trophy, but like I said, nice consolation prize.
Yeah.
Dax, what was your reaction to Messi not just sticking around, but 3 more years? I mean, that's
Yeah,
that kind of opened everybody's eyes, especially to the length of that. He's going to play until he's 41 in theory if he plays out the length of
sure.
his contract. With the impact he's already had, not just on their team, but the league itself. Just if you can talk a little bit about that, the impact that's going to have.
Massive impact. And, I don't think it was a surprise. I feel like it's a match made in heaven for Messi and for Miami. I look at the things that he said and just the smiles on his face every time you see him play. He's very happy off the field. I think that's very obvious to see. And I think it's the polar opposite of what was going on with him at PSG. And so when he's happy off the field, when his family's happy off the field, it's clear that you're going to get a great version of him on the field. And the one thing you can say about Inter Miami throughout his whole time here is that the expectations are always through the roof. As you guys know, they're expected to win almost every competition that they play in. And they haven't done that, quite frankly, but that's not at the feet of Lionel Messi. Messi has done anything and everything that he can possibly do to carry this team and do basically wear every single hat for them in the attacking third. You want him to score goals, he's going to score goals. You need him to make plays and be a playmaker, he can do that. He gets assists. And just seeing that he won the Golden Boot this year. He was either tied for first or second to Anders Dreyer in assists. This is a player that can do basically anything on the soccer field still. And in Major League Soccer, it's clear that he is still the best player in the league, even at his elevated age. And so it was a no-brainer for Inter Miami. I feel like it was a no-brainer for Messi. The length of the contract was a surprise for me as well. But I think there's probably some options in there to say, hey, if either my body starts breaking down or this isn't working on the field towards the after 2026, after the World Cup, there's probably an option to say, hey, I can walk away at a certain moment, right? But Messi has said it himself. As long as he feels good, as long as his body feels up for it, he's going to play. He wants to play. He's one of the most competitive individuals on the planet. Now it's just about winning MLS Cup for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what he's doing it's really unbelievable. You're 38. You said it. You're the same age.
Yep.
You know what it is. And what he's done at the highest level year after year after year. And he really doesn't take, and when he goes in, he doesn't come out. He plays 90. He does not
Yeah.
come out of games. He doesn't want to come out of games. A lot of people ask, why don't they rest him? Why doesn't he come out? Why doesn't Mascherano take him out? He will not come off the field. Once he's on the field, you cannot drag that man off the field. Let's hear real quick for a minute here about what Javier Mascherano had to say about Lionel Messi.
No, bueno, a ver, creo que obviamente muchas veces alrededor de Leo hay mucho ruido y quizás el hecho de que justo dio la casualidad que el día que hacíamos abierto a la prensa, él tuviera una molestia en la espalda y decidimos no tomar ningún riesgo, pero no es que no podía entrenar, sino que preferimos cuidarlo porque a esta altura de la temporada a veces menos es más y simplemente es cuidarlo y no tomar un riesgo innecesario para un entrenamiento que mucho no le va a cambiar a él y no quizás que esa molestia evolucione después ya los otros días. tanto miércoles como jueves, él entrenó de manera normal, hizo todo el entrenamiento y hoy llegó de la mejor manera. En cuanto a la renovación, sí, bueno, creo que el club y Leo decidieron hacerlo antes de empezar los playoffs. Creo que tenía un sentido, el sentido de que ya no se pregunte demasiado sobre eso y enfocarnos mucho más en lo deportivo. Pero bueno, esto ya hacía rato que estaba acordado, simplemente se le dio un marco oficial de parte nuestra de lo que es lo interno. Estábamos totalmente tranquilos, que sabíamos que aunque no era oficial, eso ya estaba rubricado, así que no cambió demasiado. Creo que es bueno ya un poco más que nada, porque si no, vuelvo a repetir, todo lo que se genera alrededor de Leo se agiganta, y muchas veces que llegue a los playoffs y bueno, y que no esté oficialmente la renovación, podía hacer un poco de ruido, pero en el caso nuestro no cambiaban nada.
Yeah, what Javier Mascherano is saying there is he was talking about quickly about the Messi missed practice one day last week. And, everything that he does, if he does or doesn't do, it's big news. So the fact that he did not show up at training on last Tuesday, was big news all over the world. Oh my God, what's wrong? Is he injured? What's happening? And then there were some people, the cynics, of course, in the media, where we were thinking he's probably doing some marketing shoot or some commercial shoot for his new contract. So, we can still think that maybe what it is, because the timing was interesting on Thursday. So he missed practice Tuesday. They said that he had a little back discomfort on Monday, and they let him take Tuesday off. So he took Tuesday off. Wednesday, he was back at practice like nothing. He was totally healthy Wednesday, totally healthy Thursday. And then they announced on Thursday that he has signed his new contract. And they announced it with a video of a drone video of Messi in a suit, a very staged thing with lighting and all this stuff, where he's in the new stadium at Miami Freedom Park in the dirt, signing on a desk. So we don't know if that was filmed on Tuesday or not. You can, guess whatever you want to be, if you're cynical, if you're not. In any case, Javier Mascherano said, look, the club decided to announce it before the playoffs, right before the playoffs, because it was getting to be a distraction. Everybody asking about, what is he going to sign? When's he going to sign? Why is it taking so long? The fact that there's a delay, does this mean that he's maybe not going to come back next year? And of course, they're trying to sell tickets. They're trying to sell tickets from Miami Freedom Park. So the sooner they sign him, the better, and make it public. So they made it public, and now they can focus on the playoffs. And he said, the thing is, though, we knew about it a long time ago. He said they really just made it public on Thursday, but the terms were agreed upon, which, by the way, I will toot a horn here. The Miami Herald did have this reported many, many weeks ago, that they had agreed to terms. They just hadn't announced it yet. So anyway, it's all good now. Messi's coming back. He's in the playoffs. They win game 1 against Nashville. And they played Nashville also in the last game of the regular season. So now they're going to the third game in a row, which is kind of strange, especially for soccer players, to play the same team 3 games in a row this Saturday in Nashville. So we wanted to move on now and talk about the playoffs. As long as we have Dax here, you have history with Nashville. You're obviously watching all these matchups. What do you think about the Inter Miami versus Nashville matchup? What do you think is going to happen on Saturday? And, if you could comment on what happened in the last 2 games against
Sure.
them.
Well, first of all, I was just thinking when you said that he missed training due to back discomfort, I can relate. So, you know what? Everyone needs a day every now and then. But yeah, the playoffs, first of all, it's great that they have him signed. We already covered that. And it's great that they have him fit and healthy and motivated, because look, at his elevated age, I have said this publicly. I've said this in studio. I'm of the opinion that Javier Mascherano needs to find ways to get him rest. And so when Inter Miami is beating teams by 3 or 4 goals, like, he should try to take him out of the game, even if he doesn't want to come out of the game, because those minutes add up. And Messi's missed some time, as you guys know. He's missed probably 20 to 25% of the games that Inter Miami has played since his arrival. So you're going to have to find ways to get him rest. In the playoffs is certainly not one of them. He's been excellent against Nashville SC ever since both teams have come into Major League Soccer, and ever since Lionel Messi signed with Inter Miami. Nashville SC has had a really good season. And so the last 2 games against them, some of Miami's best performances of the season. And the first half on decision day, it looked like Nashville SC was going to blow Miami out of the water. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Nashville SC should have been winning by multiple goals. Miami was sleepwalking through that first half. And this is where having a player of Messi's caliber changes basically everything. The goal he scores to get Miami back in the game, where he takes it off his chest, he flicks it over his own head, a player's head, he dances around a couple midfielders and puts the ball in the corner. You can't defend that. It's not possible to defend that. Now, my Atlanta United team last year figured out ways to mitigate some of those issues. And Nashville SC, they typically tend to play more aggressively. And they didn't play as aggressive in the second half of decision day, and they got punished because Inter Miami got into a rhythm and they just destroyed them. Messi found gaps all over the midfield. He played little 1-2s with Ian Frey, with Rodrigo de Paul, with Luis Suarez, and he just dictated the game and he created chances at will. And then in Miami, it was the same story. Nashville SC was surprisingly, I would say, passive and basically let Miami dictate the entire tempo of the game. And when you do that, it doesn't matter how good you defend. Messi is going to find chances. And so in this next game coming up in Nashville, I would expect Nashville SC to really go for it. I would expect them to be on the front foot. I would expect them to high press Miami a lot more than they did down in Miami because you can't allow Inter Miami to get into a rhythm. If you allow Sergio Busquets with time and space to get on the ball, look forward, he's going to punish you. He's going to find those dangerous attacking players, and Miami's going to be able to create chances. I think this is going to be the most difficult game Miami plays in the last couple of weeks. I think Nashville at Geodis Park will have learned their lesson from the last couple of weeks. Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surge need to play a little bit better. They've been a little bit disjointed. They haven't really put pressure on this Inter Miami backline, which, in my opinion, is extremely vulnerable. But full credit to Javier Mascherano. I love the fact that he put Noah Allen back in the lineup and is allowing him to be that center back next to Maxi Falcone. I think his pace and his ability to read the game gives them the most stability in the back. And then the other choice is Wygant versus Ian Frey at right fullback. And Ian Frey, for a kid who's gone through so much turmoil, so many injuries, he's really coming into his own. He's really comfortable going into the attack. He defends well. He's got pace to defend 1v1. And so I think this is Inter Miami's best backline with Ian Frey, Maxi Falcone, Noah Allen, and Jordi Alba. So the other big decision was Rocco Rios Novo, which kind of surprised us to be able to put a player like that with less experience over Ustari. And he's repaid that faith. He's made big saves when he's had to. But I would expect Nashville to give Miami a lot of problems in Nashville. I think we're going to see a very competitive game. I can see the game being a draw, going to penalties, and then whatever happens, the game will go straight to penalties. Inter Miami's very good in penalty shootouts with that experience.
Dax, before you go, I wanted to ask you just big picture for how you kind of see this shaking out. Inter Miami, if let's assume they do get past this series.
Yeah.
What reason would you see for them? Do you think they can win the MLS Cup? And a reason why you think they might not win the MLS Cup? We know they can score at will. Sometimes but they've had their defensive issues. You talked about the adjustments they've made on the back line. But, what's your take on that? Like, how do you see this team shaping out for the long run?
I think only a fool would say that Inter Miami doesn't have the possibility of winning MLS Cup. Of course they do. They've got the best player in the league, still one of the best players in the world in Lionel Messi, and you have the extra added motivation of playing the last couple of games for Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, who are going to be walking away at the end of the year after some of the most decorated careers of any soccer players of all time. So there's a lot of motivation in Miami right now to win the big one, to win MLS Cup. And I would never count out a team that was led by Lionel Messi, especially with the form he's in right now. I can absolutely see Miami winning the Cup because of the quality players that they have and the difference makers they have in attack. But I do think when they run into some of the best teams in the league, I think they're going to have issues. We've all seen what Son Heung-min and Denny Bouanga are capable of doing at LAFC. They are the most dynamic duo in Major League Soccer right now, bar none. They are almost unstoppable. And so You add in the fact that LAFC has an elite backline. You look at the Vancouver Whitecaps, who have already ran into Inter Miami this year in a massive knockout competition and just destroyed them. It wasn't even competitive, quite honestly. And Vancouver's only going to get better as the playoffs go on. I don't know if you guys saw, but they made a mockery of an FC Dallas team last night, just dominating them 3-0. FC Dallas didn't even have a shot. So when Inter Miami runs into these elite teams that are very balanced defensively, but can also punish you in the attack, I just think it's going to be a difficult task for Inter Miami this year. I'm not going to count them out. I do think that out of the East, they are the best bet to make it to the final. But I look at Vancouver, I look at LAFC, and I even look at a team like the Seattle Sounders, who just beat them 3-0 in the Leagues Cup final, who are all teams that I would think would be the slight favorite in an MLS Cup. Messi and Inter Miami, they won Leagues Cup in 2023. They won the Supporter Shield last year. But in knockout competitions, they've struggled. They have not. They've been in 5 or 6 knockout competitions, and they have fallen flat in the final or in the semifinal in quite a few of these. And a lot of it has to do with that Achilles heel, which is that backline. So I'm not going to bet against Inter Miami. I think it's absolutely in the realm of possibility that they make a deep run and can lift the cup. But I will say, when they run into one of these better teams who's elite defensively, I would even throw the Philadelphia Union into that category, who had the best backline in Major League Soccer this year. Inter Miami, is the margin for error for them is very thin. They are going to have to be almost perfect if they want to win. And Javier Mascherano is going to have to find the right balance between how many numbers do I send forward and how many players do I have behind the ball to make sure that our defense isn't exposed. And so it's going to be a big task for that team down in Miami. But with the form that Messi's in right now, you guys get to see it week in and week out. He can just make magic happen at any given moment. It's really a pleasure to have him in MLS in our league. And the playoffs are going to be really exciting, guys. I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. Michelle, you're muted.
That mute button today.
I did that to have better sound when we have 3 people, and then I keep forgetting to mute myself. I have 2 very quick questions for you, because you're just so specially, you can answer these 2 questions. Number 1, real quick, and then we'll let you go, I promise. Number 1, most people in the world never get to play defense against Lionel Messi, to be across from him as an opponent. I was wondering if you could just describe to us what is that like? I don't know if you have the words or if you can try to describe, because you have been there. So that's number 1. And then the other thing I want to ask you after you answer that one is Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, Darlington Nagbe, Brad Guzan, they're all retiring at the end of the season. You retired at the end of last year. I just want to know how difficult it is to come to that decision, having done it last year, and what you think they're going through. Then we're going to let you go, I promise.
Sure. So do you guys know these, like defending Messi? Do you guys know these crazy people who there's like a thin wire that goes from like tall building to tall building, and then they walk across the tightrope, right? With the balancing act and the beam. And then if they make a mistake at any moment, they could fall to their death. That's kind of like what defending Messi's like, okay? Because you have to be almost perfect if you want to make sure that you don't allow him to do what he wants to do, which is get on the ball and just create chances at will. And so I played against Messi quite a few times. He scored a couple goals on our teams, obviously the goal in the Leagues Cup final. And then in the playoffs, he did get one against our Atlanta United team. But by and large, I just tried to use my experience to just not let him get into a rhythm that he wants to get into, and not let him get running at a backline. And so the main thing that I told myself was, if he gets by you, foul him, which I did on a couple of occasions down in Miami. And then try to take him off his left foot, try to take away his left foot, because we know how deadly it can be. And we've seen him score goals with his right foot before, but I think the odds are in your favor if you make him go to his right and either cross it or try to take a shot with his right foot, which is not obviously as strong as his left foot. And so I'm gonna give myself some credit, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for being able to do that at times effectively, but you're never gonna be able to totally nullify him. That is something that is truly difficult to comprehend, being able to defend him. And as far as retiring goes, when you get older, you have to start coming to grips with your own mortality and the fact that no matter how amazing of a player you are or were, no matter how great your career is, no matter how many trophies you won, no matter how many goals you scored, no one can defeat Father Time. No one can defeat what age is going to do to your body and to your legs. And so I've been in that position. It's the hardest thing an athlete will ever have to do is just decide when is the right time to walk away. I look at my season that I had personally last year, and after we took Miami down in the playoffs, and after I started all 3 of those games and played relatively well, you start second guessing yourself like, hey, man, you can still do this. Like, you can still play at a high level. Sergio Busquets can clearly still play at a high level, and so can Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba is still playing at a high level. He can still sprint up and down with 20-year-olds. And so these are just decisions that you have to take because, quite frankly, you can't play forever. A lot of it, you have kids now. They both have young families that maybe they want to spend more time with. So all these factors go into it. This is the way that I looked at it. I wanted to retire on my own terms. I didn't want to have to go into a meeting in the offseason and have conversations with the GM saying, hey, we want to offer you league minimum to just be on the bench and be a good locker room presence all year. That wasn't for me. That wasn't something that I wanted to do because I wanted to move on with my life and my career. And I had a vision of I wanted to be in media, and it was a great moment to just retire and then start the rest of my life. Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba, they've probably made enough money where they don't have to work another day in their life and their family's set and their kids are set. But I just think that it comes a time in a player's life where after you've done what they've done for such a long time, you just have to come to grips with the fact that you're going to have to make a decision eventually. And I see them both playing still at a high level. I see them both thinking that this is a great year to potentially make a run, win MLS Cup, go out as a champion. Nothing could be better for them. And so I've had such admiration for both of their careers, and I know Inter Miami is going to want to send them out on top.
Yeah.
Dax McCarty, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
we
you
really
so much
appreciate
for
it for the
joining
100th
us.
episode. Remember, you can catch him on Apple TV throughout the postseason.
You can catch him on
beyond.
everywhere. He's on all different shows. What's the name of your podcast?
And your
Remind
podcast,
everybody.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do. Me and a couple buddies, we do Major League Journeyman, and so that's a little bit more loose. It's a little bit more unhinged. But then I love our MLS Season Pass shows, MLS Countdown, MLS 360, and MLS Wrap Up. I think our producers and I think our everyone involved in our shows does a great job. So I appreciate you guys having me. You guys have a great thing going here. Best of luck, and I'm honored to be on the 100th show.
Thank you so much, Dax.
Take care,
really
guys.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. So that was great. Wow. I mean, when they
always
said,
good to have a guest like that on the show. Not just any guest, but a knowledgeable, a presence like that on the show.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who has played against Lionel Messi. We've not had anyone on our show who can actually describe in great. That was a great analogy he gave.
Yeah, we're just guessing. Yeah, we're just guessing. We're assuming.
We don't know what it's like.
We don't know what it's like. Exactly.
I've never played against Lionel Messi. You've never played against Lionel Messi. Most people in the media and fans have never played at any level like this. And so to have somebody as a guest who can share some perspective on what is it really like when you are on the field. It's easy for people to sit there watching on TV going, that guy stinks. But look at him, look at that defender on the ground, and people laugh or whatever. Try to be that guy. And Dax has many years of, he played against Messi several times. He's been against him. And I thought that was really interesting to get his perspective, and also on retirement and what he thinks about Inter Miami as a team. That clearly he seems to think that those teams in the West are going to be a little bit too much for this team, and that Javier Mascherano has a big job ahead of him. If they get past the Eastern Conference final, that's if they get past either Cincinnati or Columbus and Philadelphia or Chicago, then they've got to go up against Vancouver or LAFC, which is red hot, or Seattle. I mean, there's a lot of good teams still.
Look, Michelle, this team has been up and down a lot this entire season. They've had great moments that then all of a sudden blindside you with poor performances the next day, the next game. And he's right. This series itself isn't over. I mean, this team, Nashville, came out strong in that first half in that regular season finale. If they can
they were
somehow
totally
find
dominating. They were
yeah,
completely dominating. They were leading. They were leading 2-1.
If they find that formula and they're at home and can somehow send this to 3, all the little ghosts from last year start creeping up again, and all the questions. And is this team going to blow it again? I'm telling you, they can't look past even this game 2 in Nashville, let alone start looking ahead after that. But looking at it, we can, but they can't. But I mean,
let's talk about let's
talk about that matchup.
I want to talk about that matchup, and I also want to talk about a couple of things that we were planning to talk about today about the defense. We talked to you asked a good question. Andre, you're the one who covered the game the other day. I was out of town. You asked a good question of Javier Mascherano about the defense. I want to hear his answer. And also, he was asked about Rocco Rios Novo starting in goal. Let's start with Rocco Rios Novo. Him coming in for Ustari as the starting goalkeeper at this critical stage of the season. Ustari was basically the shoo-in as the starter all year, the 38-year-old veteran, 39-year-old veteran, friend of Messi, right? From Argentina, had all the
on the resume. Yep.
Yes. And all of a sudden they lose 5-3 to Chicago, and the goalkeeper coach clearly had a chat with Javier Mascherano and said,
right,
we need to make a change here. And they put Rocco in there, which was a surprise. And he starts 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, and then he starts the playoffs, which was a big surprise that a guy with very little experience went in and started the playoffs.
And a stat that floored me, which hat tip to Dax's colleagues at Apple TV who dropped this info. I didn't realize Rocco, they have not lost with Rocco in goal this year when Rocco has played, whether he's come in or started the match.
They're 11 matches they've
unbeaten.
not lost.
11
matches.
Yeah,
8-0-3.
Right.
With Rocco. So let's see. We asked one of the reporters asked Mascherano about the decision to start Rocco. Let's hear what he had to say.
Es una decisión técnica. Bueno, al final tenemos, tenemos un entrenador de arquero que obviamente tengo diálogo constante con él, me va diciendo y me apoyo mucho en sus opiniones. Claramente las decisiones las tomo yo. Y bueno, y la realidad es que veíamos a Rocco bien. Eso no significa que Oscar esté mal, ni mucho menos. Es una decisión más de todas las que tomo, para eso estoy acá. Y bueno, decidimos seguir con Rocco.
So he said, look, this was a technical decision. He said, we have a goalkeeper coach, and I trust his opinion a lot, and we have daily dialogue. And he said, of course, I'm the one that makes the final decision, but I have daily dialogue and I trust his opinion. And we feel that Rocco is playing very well. This doesn't mean that Oscar is not, but this is a decision that we've made. This is why they pay me to make these decisions. And they have decided that right now, clearly, Rocco Rios Novo is the starting goalkeeper right now. There was some thought like, oh, maybe they just put him in to light a fire under Oscar. But once the playoffs start, of course, they're going to go with someone with more experience. No, the playoffs started, and they started Rocco Rios Novo. And in general, the defense this last game also, he made a change, putting Noah Allen back in. And, the defense played better. We have 2 video clips, and you were there, Andre. If you want to talk a little about the defense, then we're going to hear from Maxi Falcone, and we have a clip from Javier Mascherano talking about the defense.
Before we get to the clip, my thing was, I know everyone celebrates the goals and whatnot. This team, it's obvious, and we've talked about it to death, that the biggest problem has been on the defensive side. How many goals they've given up, how many chances they give up, even when they're not scoring, even when teams don't capitalize, they're constantly attacking. Sam Surridge, and I had the broadcast on while I was watching the game. Sam Surridge only had 7 touches, and we were halfway through the second half. And Hani Mukhtar wasn't doing much either. He scored that, little one goal at the end, 110th minute, meaning didn't really mean anything in terms of the match. But they did a tremendous job stopping 2 of the better scorers in the league. So that to me stood out even more than the offensive side, because if they can bottle that formula somehow, that's the key for them to win this MLS Cup. Not so much, I mean, yes, they're going to have to score goals and Messi and all of that, but that defensive accomplishment they had, if they could somehow bottle that and carry it over, that's the only way they're going to win the MLS Cup. And I asked Coach about it, and here's what he had to say.
Sí, creo que el equipo defensivamente estuvo muy sólido. Hemos controlado muy bien. Nashville tiene una forma y una manera de jugar que te puede hacer mucho daño si no estás en bloque, si no estás cerca, si no recorres rápido. Y la realidad es que hoy el equipo ajustó mucho de lo que fue el partido pasado. Claramente no nos va a alcanzar, tenemos que seguir mejorando, tenemos que cada vez más, mientras, digamos, es decir, mientras los partidos se van dando, el margen de error tiene que ser cada vez menos y vamos a seguir sosteniendo eso. Es decir, no nos tenemos que conformar con lo de hoy. Hay un gran margen de mejora que lo podemos seguir sosteniendo. Estamos contentos porque el equipo viene evolucionando, pero el equipo puede seguir mejorando y sobre todo entender que como se puede disfrutar de jugar y de tener la pelota, también se puede disfrutar de defender, siempre y cuando nosotros controlemos la situación y no la controle el rival. Y es fundamental que para controlar la situación es comunicarse, es hablarse, es estar juntos y sobre todo disfrutarlo. Es decir, cuando no tengo la pelota, controlar la situación, más allá que el rival la tenga, no me haces daño, te digo yo dónde vas a jugar, no me marcas vos dónde vas a jugar. Bueno, todas esas cosas que venimos tratando de transmitirle al equipo, tratar de seguir en esa línea y seguir mejorando.
Yeah, you said a lot there. Now we know Javier Mascherano is a defensive-minded player. He was a defensive-minded player. He is really all about defense. That he was a midfielder who focused on defense, and he said that he felt, based on the question you asked, that he said he felt that they played very solid defensively, that they were able to contain Nashville, that they were able to, defend in blocks. They were quick to react. They did all the things they needed to do. They had adjusted. He said they did a good job of adjusting from the previous game. But he said it's not enough. He said it's not enough. We have to keep improving. The margin for error has to decrease, he said, because this was not good enough. It was good. It was an improvement from the last game, but he wants even more. He wants even better on the defensive side. And he said, I want them to understand that you can enjoy defending and you can enjoy the times you don't have the ball as much as you can enjoy when we're in possession, because this team is very much about a possession team, and they all seem to just want to possess and go forward and make these beautiful passing sequences and all that stuff. And he said that controlling the situation, dictating where the opponent can and can't play, can be as enjoyable as you having the ball and possessing the ball. And that's what he would like to instill in his players, sort of an enjoyment and understanding that dictating where the opponent can and can't go can be as rewarding as scoring goals and getting assists. And he said that that's what he's hoping going forward. And one of the defenders who was in the back line in this last game and who has been a constant through all these changes that he's made, these various back lines that he's had, different people, Lujan and Dotto Aviles and Ian Frey and Noah Allen. One of the mainstays that's always there pretty much is Maxi Falcone. Mm-hmm. Let's hear what he had to say about the way they played the other night.
Sí, bueno, ha tocado jugar varias veces, como decís vos. Bueno, por ahí él, al tener pierna zurda, por ahí se siente más tranquilo, obviamente, del lado zurdo, yo al lado derecho. Pero es algo que siempre trabajamos la semana, el técnico va rotando, va poniendo ya sea a Toto, ya sea a Luján, a mí, a él, pero trabajamos todo para hacer lo que hicimos hoy. Yo creo que hicimos un gran partido en la zona defensiva y hay que hacer lo mismo el sábado que viene, ¿no? Pero nada, jugar con Noah en este caso Él es muy rápido, es un jugador bastante limpio en la salida y todo tiene sus cosas, ¿no? Nos complementamos creo que bien entre los cuatro y yo sé que siempre al que le toca jugar va a dar lo mejor.
¿Cómo se prepara para el próximo juego, para la próxima semana? ¿Qué es lo que se tiene, cómo se van a preparar?
Yo creo que de la misma manera, obviamente que haber ganado no significa que no ha habido cosas que por ahí hicimos mal. Vamos a mirar el video luego en la semana, es una semana larga por suerte y nada, tratar de prepararlo de la mejor manera. Ellos tienen que ganar sí o sí y también por ahí jugar un poco con eso, jugar un poco con la intranquilidad por ahí de ellos, tratar de lastimar, ser primero, digamos, nosotros el que hacemos el gol para que también se sientan nerviosos, pero nosotros en la zona defensiva creo que repetir lo que hicimos hoy, estuvimos muy atentos en los duelos, ganamos la mayoría y se vio un rival incómodo en el juego, entonces yo creo que esa es la idea.
Cuéntame un poquito de esos encontrones con Zurich en la cancha, hablando de incómodo, él se metió todo el partido, un poco incómodo. Cuéntame un poco de eso.
Sí, a ver, es como te digo, ¿no? Tratamos de incomodar por ahí al rival, la marca, hacerlo entrar en el juego un poco, ¿no? Porque es un jugador que dentro del área más que nada es peligroso. Minuto 11 de agregado, le llega un centro y cabecea y aún así estuvimos todo el partido con él arriba, entonces hay que estar atento en eso, hay que, como te digo, enfocarnos, volver a entrenar, cada uno lo que le toca hacer y tratar de que esa opción que tuvieron tampoco la tengan, porque por ahí las que tuvieron fueron algunas fallas nuestras. Y nada, yo creo que mejorar algunos detalles, pero creo que jugar de la misma manera, con la misma gana y la misma convicción de hoy. Vamos arriba.
All right. Maxi said he was asked about playing with Noah Allen because Noah Allen had been coming off the bench in the previous few games, and he came in as a starter at left center back. And he said Noah's a guy who's more comfortable on the left side. So I played on the right and he played on the left. He said they rotate us a lot during training, and this is the lineup they came up with. And he said, I thought we complemented each other well. He said Noah is fast, he's quick, he's clean, off the ball and everything. And he said that so he felt that overall, the back line did a very good job. That defensively overall, the team did a very good job. They made Nashville uncomfortable, which is what they want to do again on Saturday. He stressed again that we need to score first on Saturday. It's really important for us to score first, to make them a little nervous, to get them uncomfortable, because that, and with Hani Mukhtar, to get him uncomfortable, get their top players uncomfortable. And that's what they did this time. And he feels that they definitely need to do that again on Saturday. And, it's strange. They're going to play again now for the third game in a row. They're going to play Nashville. These two teams really know each other. I don't know if they're bored with each other at this point. I don't know if the fans are bored with watching the same matchup for the third game in a row now, but that's where we're going. And I will be in Nashville, by the way. I'll be there covering the game for the Miami Herald. So all of you be sure to tune in on game night and get my coverage of the game. But yeah, they, on Saturday night, if they win, Miami wins, they advance. They will advance and play the winner of Cincinnati and Columbus Crew. If they lose, then it goes to a game 3, which would be 4 games in a row against this team, counting the last game. So interesting. And other games, by the way, in the first weekend, Philadelphia won in a penalty kick shootout over Chicago. Vancouver, as Dax mentioned, won very easily 3-0 over Dallas. And San Diego, which is the top seed in the West, expansion team, they won 2-1 over Phil Neville's Portland team.
And Philly had to go to PKs to beat Chicago. Yes. How about that? That was a very, very close matchup. Philly was winning 2-1.
Philly was winning 2-0.
Chicago tied it late, like in I want to say in stoppage time.
Late 85th and 80, late in the
close.
Game.
Yeah, it was very late in the game. And then this format where you go straight to PKs, Philly ends up winning, which is huge for them because they did not.
Could have lost.
Obviously, it would have been bad to go one.
Yeah, Philly was winning the entire game.
Right.
Philadelphia was winning the entire game. They were not trailing at all until, 85th or 90th minute. All of a sudden, Chicago ties it. Chicago is a very dangerous team. I was thinking today that, to be honest, being the Supporter Shield winner, you should have the weakest opponent in the first round. Obviously, you're the top seed. You're going in the 8th team, whatever.
The seed they do.
Chicago, Chicago to me is a little bit more dangerous team than Nashville. Right now, Chicago is playing very well. We saw what they did in Miami. They scored 5 goals on Miami. Philadelphia is not going to have an easy time getting past Chicago. I'm not saying they won't, but it's going to be difficult.
Well, it shows you how crazy, and we talked about it last week a little bit, and it was last year where a lot of the favorites fell early in the playoffs. Here you go again, a Supporter Shield winner, and they were on the brink of having to go on the road down 1-0 had they not pulled that off in PK. So it's still crazy.
Still very early.
I mean, the fact
really
that
early.
I think just for them, it's narrowing the focus, and these are professionals; they know how to do that. But they do not want to have to play. We're talking about how ad nauseum they're playing Nashville now. They don't want to have to do it 4 times.
They need to finish them off. They want to finish them off in Nashville. They want to finish them off in Nashville and then have an extra week of rest too.
Right.
How important is that for all of these players in their late 30s on this
Plus
team?
the FIFA break.
And the FIFA break. I mean, if they get a chance to have 2 weeks off, to have a week and then another week off, it's going to be huge for them. They want to finish off Nashville in Nashville this Saturday. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to.
Because after this, then the Eastern Conference, well, the conference, not just the East, but the conference semifinals won't be till that weekend of November 22nd because of the little FIFA window that's coming right smack in the middle of these playoffs.
Right.
So if Miami finishes them off, it's 3 weeks off. I mean, unless anyone's playing international duty in that little in between. But for a lot of players, it's going to be 3 weeks off. And for a veteran team like Miami, tremendous.
That's big.
To get that.
That's really important.
Interesting because you physically, yes, you welcome the rest. You also don't want to lose a little bit of that momentum, though.
Maybe they lose their momentum. Yeah, if they're on a roll and they don't want to lose their momentum either. So it can go either way.
It'll be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And by the way, go ahead.
No, I was going to say these MLS Cup playoffs and their format by sticking everyone to play a series at the beginning instead of the end, like most sports do, and then now they have a FIFA window right smack in the middle. I mean, all kinds of things to leapfrog for these teams in MLS.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to say before we close out 2 things. Number 1, I forgot to mention happy birthday to Andre. This was your birthday week, so happy birthday to Andre. And again, our 100th episode, I want to thank again everybody who's always watched us, supported us, sent messages on the YouTube comments. And for those of you, a reminder, the first 10 people, by now it's probably way too late if you're just getting this message now, but the first 10 people to email mcoffin@miamiherald.com will get a prize mailed to you. You have to include a U.S. mailing address. And then you'll get to join in our celebration.
mcoffin@miamiherald.com. If you also need it, if you read Michelle's stuff, it's right under her name on every story too. If you need a reminder, but you just click the link there. But good luck to everybody trying that sees this and tries for it. You get some nice little souvenirs in the mail if you make the cut. But again, like Michelle said, thank you so much for watching Insight into Miami. We'll be back next week to go over.
Thanks again to Dax. Thanks again to Dax. Great guest. That was fabulous. I really enjoyed listening to him.
Yep. Thank you to Dax once again. And like we said, we'll be back next week to kind of go over what happens in Game 2. Is the series over? Is Miami moving on, or are they in a dogfight now and facing a Game 3 back home? We'll see after next week. But until then. The MLS playoffs will be going on throughout the week into the weekend, as we know, as they like to highlight each game, give it their own little moment. So enjoy the soccer, everybody. Until next week, for Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez. We're happy to have you for the 100th and beyond. We'll see you next week.